Have you ever looked back at your childhood and asked yourself, why was my journey so different? Maybe you're an adult now, responsible, resilient, and navigating life's complexities. But there's still that lingering question. Why did I struggle so much? Why did I feel out of place? Was all of it just bad luck? What if I told you those early experiences weren't random, that they were signs, pieces of a puzzle God was putting together to prepare you for something bigger? Today, we're going to unpack the clues from your past, revealing how God has been shaping you for a purpose, even before you realized it. The Bible says in Jeremiah 1:5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." This means your life wasn't a coincidence. From the very beginning, God had a plan. Those challenges, those unique gifts, even the sensitivities you carried as a child, they were like breadcrumbs leading to the purpose He designed specifically for you. As we go through these signs, reflect on your own story. If something connects with your past, I encourage you to comment a Bible verse or affirmation, like, "God chose me," or "I trust God's plan." Your words might inspire someone else, someone who needs clarity about their own journey. Let's begin with sign 1. Sign 1. You faced more obstacles as a child than others. Think about your childhood. Were you the kid who always seemed to have it harder? Maybe you grew up in a chaotic home where peace was rare, or you took on responsibilities no child should shoulder, like looking after siblings, budgeting groceries, or navigating family conflicts. Let me give you a real-world example. Take Sarah, who grew up with 2 working parents in a small apartment. While her classmates spent weekends playing, Sarah was doing laundry, cooking meals, and helping her younger siblings with their homework. By the time she turned 12, she had the skills of someone twice her age. If that sounds like you, know this. Those challenges weren't just random hardships. They were God's way of building resilience in you. Romans 5:3-4 says, "Suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character." Each obstacle you overcame was like a workout for your inner strength. You might wonder, why me? Why couldn't my childhood have been easier? But here's the thing. God knew you could handle more than you believed. He was preparing you to face life's challenges with a kind of strength and creativity that only comes from experience. Reflect on how these struggles made you stronger. If you've developed problem-solving skills, use them to help others. Mentor someone younger. Support a friend in crisis. And remember to share in the comments. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. Sign 2. You had meaningful dreams as a child. Do you remember having dreams that felt oddly real or important? Not the random kind where you're flying or losing your homework, but dreams that made you pause and wonder, what does this mean? For example, a man named Daniel shared how he dreamed of helping people in trouble when he was just 10 years old. At the time, he didn't understand why those dreams kept coming. Years later, he became a firefighter, a job where he literally saves lives. In the Bible, God often communicates through dreams. Think about Joseph, who dreamed of future events that seemed impossible at the time. But later, those very dreams saved an entire nation. If you've had dreams that lingered in your heart, it could be God's way of planting seeds for your future. So, here is a practical way to approach your dreams. Keep a journal. Write down any dreams or thoughts that feel significant. Pray about them. Ask God to guide you in understanding their meaning. And if this resonates with you, comment the word like, "Speak, O Lord. Your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:9. Because this is a miracles sign God gave you through your dream. Sign 3. Animals and children were drawn to you. Have you ever noticed that nervous animals or troubled kids seemed to feel safer around you? Maybe you calmed a scared puppy no one else could touch, or a friend who was upset always turned to you for comfort. So, if nervous animals and troubled kids seemed to feel safer around you and enjoy your presence, this is a clear sign that you were chosen by God from your childhood. Take Emma, for example. Growing up, she wasn't the loudest or most outgoing kid, but somehow her classmates felt comfortable sharing their problems with her. She didn't have all the answers, but her kindness and calm presence made a difference. This isn't a coincidence. Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine before others." That light within you, your patience, empathy, and calmness, was God's gift to you. It's a sign that He planted a compassionate heart in you, one that could bring peace to chaotic situations. So, if you noticed this sign in your life, think about how you can use this gift today. What you need to do is volunteer at a shelter, help someone who were in need, and always be ready to help your friends and family. By doing so, you are carrying the task that God has given to you, and God will bless you abundantly for your deeds. And if this resonates with you, comment, "Lord, make me a channel of your peace." Sign 4. You were sensitive to truth and hurt by dishonesty. Have you ever felt like someone was lying to you? And how did you react as a child when someone broke your trust? Maybe your friends broke their promises. Maybe they were not honest with you. Maybe your parent told a small lie. Maybe your teacher played favorites unfairly in classroom, or a friend exaggerated a story. Even small acts of deception troubled your mind and peace. And you felt like it hit you harder than it did others. You weren't just annoyed by their actions. You felt it deep in your soul. It made you uncomfortable because, even as a child, you carried God's standard of truth inside you, and God placed a strong sense of truth in your heart. Psalm 51, verse 6 says, "Surely you desire truth in the inner parts." If deception deeply unsettled you, it could be because God wired you to uphold integrity, because God values honesty, and you were chosen to uphold it in your heart. The world normalizes dishonesty, but God doesn't. If you've always had a sharp sense of justice, an intolerance for falsehoods, it's likely that God placed that fire in you for a reason. So, what should you do is use this gift to advocate for integrity. Be a dependable friend. Speak up against injustice. Promote fairness in your workplace. And if this sign speaks to you, write in the comments, "O Lord, lead me in your truth." Psalm 25, verse 5. By doing this, you're reaffirming your commitment to living in truth and standing for what God intended. It's a declaration that you choose to walk in His purpose, embracing the qualities He has instilled in you to bring light, integrity, and wisdom into the world. Sign 5. People trusted you to get things done. This is the most important sign that shows you were chosen by God from your childhood, even as a child. Were you the one who got things done? Maybe your family leaned on you to solve problems at home, even when you were still figuring things out yourself. Maybe your friends came to you when they needed help, not just for casual advice, but because they really needed you. Even teachers might have trusted you with extra tasks beyond your age, because they knew you wouldn't let them down. Were you always the one to step up when others hesitated? Maybe you think this was just your personality, but do you realize it was preparation? Because when God chooses someone for His special mission, He often trains them in responsibility and reliability from an early age. Luke 16:10 reminds us, "If you are faithful in small things, you will be faithful in much bigger things." God starts shaping His leaders young. If you were reliable and people naturally leaned on you, it was because God was developing your ability to lead, to bring order where there was chaos, to take action when others hesitated. God needs people who will not quit at their first obstacle, who don't run away when they face troubles. He wants those who bring solutions instead of complaints. Think back to a time Your class was preparing for a play, but no one could agree on how to set up the stage. You took charge, you delegated tasks, and you made sure everything came together smoothly. That wasn't just about being organized or taking control. It was a glimpse of the leadership qualities God was shaping in you. If you notice these signs in your life, drop a comment saying, "Here I am, Lord, send me." Isaiah 6:8. It's your way of acknowledging that God gave you that drive to take action for a reason, and that you're ready to use it for His greater purpose. These signs were not random. They were pieces of a bigger picture God was painting in your life. From the very beginning, He was shaping your character, sharpening your perspective, and molding your heart for a greater purpose. You were never just another face in the crowd. God was writing a story with your life, and even as a child, He was setting the foundation for what was to come. Maybe you've wondered, why did God make me this way? Why couldn't I have had a normal childhood? But think about soldiers, athletes, and leaders. They don't just wake up one day ready for greatness. They go through intense preparation, challenges, and setbacks that strengthen them for what's ahead. God works the same way. He starts preparing His chosen ones early. Your struggles, your dreams, your strong sense of right and wrong. They weren't there to break you. They were shaping you into someone who can stand firm in a world that desperately needs strong, compassionate, truth-driven people. Now that you recognize these signs, you might be wondering, what do I do with this? That's a great question. The first step is simple. Acknowledge and thank God. Take a moment to reflect on your journey, not as a series of random events, but as a carefully woven plan. You were never alone, never forgotten, and never just drifting. God was always there, shaping you with intention. You can pray something like, "Lord, I see it now. I see your hand in my childhood. Thank you for molding me, even when I didn't understand what you were doing." Next, ask God how He wants you to use these qualities today. If He made you resilient, bring strength and encouragement to those who are struggling. If He gave you insight through dreams, seek His guidance on how to use that gift, maybe through prayer, mentoring, or counseling. If people find comfort in your presence, find ways to serve, whether through ministry, community outreach, or simply being a reliable friend. If you have a strong sense of truth and justice, stand up for honesty and integrity in your daily life. If you're someone who takes action and gets things done, step into leadership roles where you can create positive change. God didn't shape you just to keep these gifts to yourself. He shaped you because the world needs what He has placed inside you. Ephesians 2:10 reminds us, "We are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Your life isn't random. It's a mission. Those early signs were God's way of saying, "I have plans for you, and I'm starting now." Let's be real. Recognizing God's plan doesn't erase the pain you may have experienced. Some of you are hearing this, but you still feel the weight of what you endured as a child. That's completely understandable. Being chosen and shaped doesn't mean every moment was easy. Maybe you faced rejection. Maybe you endured hardship. Or maybe you carry deep wounds that still linger. Acknowledging God's purpose doesn't mean pretending the pain wasn't real. It means trusting that He can redeem it. If you're still carrying wounds from your past, seek healing. Pray for God's help. Talk to a trusted pastor, mentor, or counselor who can walk with you through the healing process. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means refusing to let the past define you. And one day, you might find that the very pain you endured equips you to help someone else going through the same struggles. As Genesis 50:20 says, "What the enemy meant for harm, God can use for good." If these signs have resonated with you, take them as confirmation. God has been shaping you from the very beginning. Your past wasn't wasted. Your unique gifts and sensitivities aren't flaws. They're evidence that God's hand has always been on you. He chose you. He set you apart. And now He's calling you to trust Him, embrace your gifts, and use them for good. My friends, if this message spoke to you, share a verse or affirmation in the comments. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you recognize these signs in your own life, let this be your reminder that God has been preparing you all along. You are not a mistake. You are part of a divine plan, one that started before you even took your first breath. Move forward with confidence, knowing that the same God who shaped you is still guiding you every step of the way.